So I love being an entrepreneur because that's how I feel I change the world, and that makes me happy.
Startup stories are just fascinating. It's what this country was built on. It's entrepreneurship. It's what creates all the jobs. It's what creates all the wealth in this country. Here you have a couple of people and an idea that really 3 years later have an incredibly fast-growing company, well-funded by some of the best VCs in the world, incredible CEO, 100+ people on the team doing very significant revenue. And it's just an amazing story to see, to inspire others.
The story of SendGrid, is a modern American fairy tale.
And the SendGrid story is a classic underdog story. 3 guys, relatively young, no capital, moving somewhere else to get support and mentorship.
I was living in Mexico. I was 14, and that's when I realized that I wanted to move here to the US because of the education. I really was always passionate about education. So I moved to the Palm Springs area when I was 14, and I lived with my uncle and my aunt. Everyone was really supportive. I started UC Riverside in 1997. Going to UC Riverside made a big difference in my life. I learned a foundation to what I know now. That's computer science and electrical engineering.
I met Isaac in 1999.
I was an electrical engineering student, and he was the systems administrator for the electrical engineering department.
And as he keeps asking me questions, I really felt he had this great desire to learn and had a lot of knowledge already coming. So I, on the spot, asked him, "Hey, do you want a job?" He looked at me and he said,
"Hey, I work for free as long as I get to learn."
I said, "No, no, no."
When I was CTO of my previous startup, I faced the problem of sending email. We ended up sending email to Yahoo, and we found out that most of the email was ending up in the spam folder. So as CTO, I had to look into solving that problem, and it ended up being a difficult problem. And I worked on this solution for about 3 months. And after 3 months, I realized that it wasn't a good solution. And because it wasn't a good solution, I became obsessed on trying to solve that.
Isaac spent years laying awake at night thinking about email. This was Isaac looking to fulfill a mission that he had in making email safer, more easily distributed, and less of a headache for companies that were sending bulk transactional email. For me as an investor, I think the most exciting thing is when you find a mission-driven entrepreneur.
So once I figured out what the initial first solution would be, I decided to call the co-founders to create a company.
So I met him for lunch, and he said, "Okay, I've got this idea for handling email and all these crazy things." And I looked at him and said, "So we're going to help spammers? Is that a business?" He's like, "No, no, no. Actual legitimate companies need this because of the spammers." And I realized that what he was saying to do was super cool.
And then I approached Jose to develop the front-end version of SendGrid. The application would modify it and return it back. And we can solve a lot of problems with that.
He basically pitched the idea to me. I was on board in it right from the get-go.
So SendGrid is a cloud-based infrastructure that helps companies scale on demand. We provide like analytics, scalability, and metrics without writing a single line of code. I was always so excited about TechStars, reading about it, and I read how hard it was to get into TechStars.
Hundreds of companies applied to TechStars, and only a handful got selected.
So I applied to TechStars because I saw that they had great mentors. I was really nervous when I met them.
First time I ever met Isaac, Tim, and Jose was in a airport Marriott across the street from LAX.
Even just then, it was just a great accomplishment that he took the time to meet us, and I started getting like this feeling of SendGrid being like a potential company. So just getting into it. It was a big accomplishment.
When I first met SendGrid, the name of the company was SMTP API, so I used to call it SMTPI.
Simple Message Transfer Protocol Application Programming Interface.
They called us SMTPI.
We won an award for the geekiest name ever for a TechStars company.
Yeah, early on, the company made a big sacrifice. I mean, personally, Isaac picked up, he was married, had kids, moved them all to Colorado. It's a big deal. A family really has to be supportive, and I think in the case of SendGrid, that's one of the things that made it work.
He always reaches his goals, so I trust him, but then at the same time it was scary.
Everyone made the sacrifice, my family, my kids. You end up working for about 16 hours some days, and these are stressful hours.
My dad works up until 3 in the morning or something.
It's true.
And having to support your family, your kids there, that's what gives you fuel.
Week one of TechStars is always craziness. You learn all this stuff about the companies that you didn't know from the interview process. And it wasn't obvious that SendGrid was going to be a star, a breakout company in that first few weeks of the program. They had very little activity on their product. It was really ugly. So it wasn't that immediately you knew. It was that 3 or 4 weeks into the program, you really liked the people, and it was really solving a problem that was painful for customers. And that's how you started to feel, oh, this company is going to go somewhere.
We basically work all day and go back home and work some more. We were trying to get the product out. We were trying to iterate as fast as we could.
TechStars is a great program where you get access to mentors. You also get access to peers from the other companies. In addition to being your peers, they also became my lifetime friends. In order for me to be able to pitch on demo day, I had to practice on a daily basis. I memorized line by line.
I remember the pitch practices and thinking, wow, these guys can't tell their story.
I had to work hard at it because I was so bad.
In the few weeks of pitch practice and getting feedback, what I remember is Isaac just hitting another level. All of a sudden, from this kid, this founder, came the CEO. And on demo day, delivered one of the best pitches that day.
I'm really excited to tell you about SendGrid today. SendGrid is an email service that solves the problems faced by companies delivering transactional email.
TechStars really helped SendGrid by teaching us the stuff that we didn't know.
We just wouldn't be here without TechStars.
We ended up getting a term sheet a few days after the presentation from Highway 12.
We invested in SendGrid because of the people solving the problem. We didn't invest in SendGrid because of an algorithm. We invested in SendGrid because we saw a mission-driven team that was insanely dedicated to solving a very big market problem.
Mark was the first investor in SendGrid. He was the one that believed in us. He has been a mentor ever since. Growing the business, it was definitely extremely difficult. We faced a bunch of challenges.
SendGrid's no different from any successful company I've been around. There have been, in their case, at least 3 near-death experiences. There's the Amazon competitive product launch.
The DNS attack.
They almost sold the company early.
There was this great moment where a great company wanted to acquire us, and then there was Foundry Group also wanting to invest in us. So we had to make a decision into what to choose.
Well, at that time, we really never seriously considered taking additional venture capital. But when Foundry expressed interest, we listened. Ryan McIntyre really got this. Ryan was an investor in Postini. He understood email infrastructure. And not many people know that we had an offer from a large technology company to buy SendGrid. It was a bona fide offer for north of $10 million. It was life-changing money for them.
I knew that they were weighing a very big decision.
So we were at a juncture where we were either going to take some growth capital from Foundry or sell the company. And it was an agonizing 3 or 4 week period.
It was extremely difficult to choose between getting acquired and choosing another round of investment.
But at the end of the day, Isaac and his team really believed that we could create a very important company.
We decided to continue growing the company.
And that's why SendGrid's here today, because they had the courage of their conviction that SendGrid was something special. Ensuing after Foundry Group invested, we continued to receive inbound interest from some of the most respected venture capitalists. SendGrid was on the map and they were growing fast.
This is one of the classic problems that companies have as they grow. When is the right time to bring someone in from the outside? The founders were 100% about what was doing right for the company. It wasn't about their ego of, I have to be the CEO, I have to be the CTO. It was about what's the best thing for this company. We thought Isaac was an incredible technical resource. We really wanted him to be the CTO, the architect of the product, along with Tim and Jose, the tech team. The company has grown a lot at this stage, but is starting to make some classic sort of mistakes. Isaac was amazing about it. He said, I want what's best for SendGrid. I'd love to learn from someone. So we started surrounding Isaac very consciously with great people.
I met Isaac through Brad Feld. He thought it would be a good introduction for me to meet Isaac and the team at SendGrid.
Jim has been a mentor around TechStars, has built some other companies. He just dug in and started helping. He really gave first to SendGrid, and he probably spent 6 to 9 months just helping.
We connected with the culture that we have. We had 10 values, and he summarized them in 4, which is the 4 H's.
Honest, hungry, humble, and happy. So I thought whatever I did next in life, I wanted to make sure I had good values consistency with the founders and with the board. And so I met the board members, and I met Isaac, and was immediately struck by his humility. And then I flew out to California to meet his co-founders and found that they had the values consistency I was looking for, and was happy to join SendGrid.
In January 2012, Bessemer Ventures led our Series B round, and Byron Dieter took a board seat in SendGrid.
The team is high performing and hardworking, but they also know how to have fun, and they've got a culture there where people like showing up to the office.
Byron's one of the most respected investors in the country, and certainly one of the savviest SaaS investors. And they've been incredible partners in helping us understand not just growing a company to tens of millions of dollars in revenue, but to building a company in hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue.
It's been amazing. I think Jim is not only a great CEO, but he's also a great mentor.
SendGrid's grown so fast because the founders got the product market fit almost exactly right from the beginning of the company.
In the early days, we sent 100,000 emails one day, and now we send close to 300 million in a day.
The founder's initial vision at TechStars, the business has grown to over 100,000 customers with over 100 employees.
We have offices in Denver, Boulder, Anaheim, Rhode Island, Germany, in UK. Oh, and also Romania.
SendGrid sent 84 billion emails life to date. We're running about 7 billion per month now, which works out to about 3,000 per second, 24/7. That's a lot of mail. So it's amazing to think that SendGrid has grown so far in this short period of time.
It's incredible to see how much we've grown, how much traction we have, and how much support we have from our customers.
It's a tremendously humbling experience to be where I'm at today with the help of other people.
And it's on a path to become one of the most important infrastructure companies in the world. I mean, everybody uses email, and they're looking to move the world's email.
Startups are a meritocracy. If you build something great, you get the respect, you get the credit, and you get the rewards.
We just celebrated capturing 1% of the market. We've got 99% to go.
Thinking about where we started and where we are now, it's been amazing, but I think there's still a lot of things to accomplish.
This story is only through the first couple of chapters.
By creating companies, you can make a difference in the world, and that makes me happy.
Get back to work.